Council caucus to order. Just a reminder to folks in the gallery, we do have budget hearings following regular council meeting. Before we get started, we have someone who wants to address council, Ms. Paulette Apostolette.
Good evening, everyone. Woo. Been a busy day for me. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. All right. Thank you. Two of the agenda items this evening, I'm Apostolette. Two of the agenda items that I have interest in are the exterior lighting project, paving and construction project for the Summit County Children's Services Administration Building. Yes, I'm all in support of design and structure, but I'm more concerned about what's taking place inside of that building. You can spend millions and billions of dollars. I'll wait till she finishes talking. You can spend millions and billions of dollars on the exterior, but if the interior is not what it should be, then your money is being wasted. I'm meeting women every day whose children are being taken from them. Every day. I'm not talking about a particular skin color. Every day. They are not given any resources, and their abusers are getting the children. And you can fix up a building. The Bible talks about that. It says you can have a cup, and it looks good on the outside, but inside is filthy. Until we do something about reuniting and giving resources to mothers for children, I don't care what you fix up, it's not going to work. I don't care how rich, poor, what color you are. I don't care what political party you're associated with. Fix the parking lot, but fix what's going on in that building, please. And that's Resolution 2023-322 and 2023-330. Hope Mental Health Court participants. My concern with this is when you hear mental health, you automatically hear medication. You don't hear anything that goes to the core of mental illness. You don't hear any, I'll wait till they finish talking. Because evidently what I'm saying must not be important. And I don't disrespect anyone when I come down here. When you don't go to the core of a situation, then you can pass judgment. And too many people are over-medicated with psychotropic medications. There's a difference between mental abuse and mental illness. And you can come up with every program under the sun. You can come up with every homeless shelter under the sun. But until you get to the core of this mental illness situation, you can spend all the money you want. But we need to be looking at these things for real. Because we're losing our family values, not just here in Summit County, but globally. And finally, as I leave, because I have to go see about some people, I would ask that you would begin an alliance with Africa, the whole continent of Africa, not just South Africa, not just East Africa.
Apostolette, if you can wrap up your remarks.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you, Council President and Council members, for taking the time to hear me. It's time for world peace. It's time for the nations to establish family concerns and family values. It's time to put all this stuff in the rear window. I'm not preparing for another COVID. I'm not preparing for more battles. I'm preparing for peace. Thank you for your time and your patience and your energy.
Thank you, Mr. Apostolette. Tonight, we have no motions. We have 13 first readings and 8 first read passage requests. 2023-320, we have Brian Harnack to address council.
Good evening, Brian Harnack from the Executive's Law Department. This is for the Fiscal Office and the Office of Information Technology Bargaining Unit members. It's kind of combined into one contract going back a long time. Just for this year, this wage reopener, next year will be a whole new contract for them. Again, we're following the formula that we followed with the FOP fact-finding report, so that's a 4% COLA for September 1, 2023. And then, actually, one of the other things we did, it's not directly represented in here, but we also instituted a emergency. It's actually for on-call pay for some of the OIT employees that we instituted that, so we'll be seeing that soon as well.
Mr. Harnack, could
Any
you speak
questions?
into that? I didn't really quite,
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I'm going to
Thank
blow everyone away when I talk into it too loud.
so I didn't catch the last part.
Oh, okay. We also, as part of the wage reopener, instituted for just some of the Office of Information Technology employees an on-call program where they'll receive and take care of emergency-only calls for IT situations.
Thank you, Mr. Harnack. Any
Okay.
questions from members of the council?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Ms. Ham, are you good with that? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Harnack. 2023-321, we have Ms. Heidi Swindell to address council.
Thank you. Heidi Swindell, Summit County Engineers Office. I discussed this a little bit last week. It's the Worcester Road West project. We had to enter into a cooperation agreement with Barberton. That was last week that I talked about. Barberton applied for the money, and it's their project. ODOT is going to run the project, though, so we also have to do preliminary legislation for ODOT to say that, yes, we are committing our $250,000 towards this project. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Heidi. Any questions from members of council? Hearing none, Mr. Smith, you good with that?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Swindell. 2023-322, Brian Clark to address council.
Thank you. Brian Clark with Physical Plants Department. I'm asking for bid authorization for two projects for CSB. One of them is a paving project. It's Phase 2. We did Phase 1 this year, so they want to do the back lot now the same way they did the front lot. And then the other one is a exterior lighting project. They've got old halogen lights out in their parking lot, and we're going to upgrade them all to new LED lights. So it's a county-owned building. You know, we typically run those projects since everything falls under our jurisdiction. So I'd just like to bid the projects, and hopefully if I get decent numbers, I'll be back in December to ask for an award.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Any questions from members of council? Hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Walton. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Clark. 2023-323, we have Phelan Thurn to address council.
Good evening, Phelan Thurn, Department of Public Safety. This equipment is a tactical robot for the Summit County Bomb Squad. This is a fully funded grant project, so it'll be paid for by FY22 SHSP funding, which is Homeland Security funding. 100% paid for. It was approved by the state and by Region 5, and the Summit County Sheriff's Office needs this equipment to replace aged equipment that they're currently using. It also is serving a portion of Region 5, so it's not just Summit County. But I also want to point out, this is a really big win for Summit County. This is the largest amount of money that we have received on the law enforcement side from this grant probably ever for a single team. So it's a good project.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
Any questions from members of council? Are you good with this, Ms. Dixon?
Since we've done this before, how many bomb disposal robots do we have?
So I believe that there's currently 2. I think that you need 2 to be an accredited bomb squad. And this will be replacing one of the robots that they're currently using that's not probably functioning properly at this point.
And does it diffuse bombs, or what is it? Kind of, what do they do?
Yeah, so in this case, if you were to have a call, which they have pretty much all the time, much more than anyone's probably aware of, if there are explosives or suspected explosives, this equipment, it's EOD technology, so it's explosives ordnance device technology. This would go into the location. It has cameras, it has arms, it can climb steps. It's not the dog, it's not the robot dog. That would have been very cool, but it's not that. But this goes into locations so that you don't need individuals being put in unnecessary harm's way. So that's what it's doing. Sure. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any other questions by members of council? Mr. Smith?
For the newer members that may not know, Phelan used to be our clerk of council.
I did.
And
Yes,
she
for a
started,
number of
if I'm not
years.
mistaken, as an intern from the
Yes.
University of Akron, started as an intern in the council office.
I did. I was a grad assistant, and then I was admin assistant, clerk of council, and that was in 2010. So that was a long time ago.
Wow, 2010,
Yep.
time flies.
Yep.
She did not apply. I could,
I'll pass the baton, but thank you.
Thank you, Phelan, and it's always good to see you.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you.
2023-324, Mr. Harnack again. We could have had you doing both.
All right. I'm going to speak into the mic this time. All right, this is a request out of the grant that the Sheriff's Office received from the Department of Public Safety Office of Criminal Justice Services last year. It is for recruitment and retention of law enforcement and law enforcement-related employees. The sheriff's deputies are already receiving these lump sums, or this is partially funded by funds from this grant, and upon looking at the grant requirements, there are some non-bargaining classified and unclassified employees who are directly related or support law enforcement activities that are eligible for this grant. So we require the council to approve that. And again, this is an area that's really getting hard hit with a lot of people retiring and hard time getting people to stay and to come in to this field. So this is a good thing for the Sheriff's Office. Take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Harnack. Any questions for members of council?
Just very quickly, how long did they get this lump sum retention? How long did it stay?
It is for services rendered, so they, yeah, it's, you got to be here to get it. Yeah, that's about it.
So, Mr. Harnack, when it comes to the supplemental employees that are not really sworn officers, who are some of those folks?
Well, we have some of the administrative staff, Director of Administration, the inspector. We have actually some of the, actually they are sworn. There are some sworn people here that have commissions but are not part of the bargaining unit or full-time. So
Okay.
you're looking at some of the part-time employees that work with the Marine Division, with the Juvenile Division, that are special deputies that are going to get some of that money. But again, it's a reflection of 10% of whatever they make. So we kind of have to wait until the last minute to know what that number's going to be for those part-timers.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from members of council? Hearing none, are you good with them, Ms. Nicholson? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Harnack.
Thank you.
2023-325, we have Mr. Holland to address council.
Hello, Bill Holland from the Sheriff's Office. This is for a vehicle for the drug unit. We're asking for first reading passage because we've started to procure vehicles, and during the process, they're selling them off the lots. We're having trouble securing these before they sell them. This is for the drug unit, paid for from a drug unit fund. So,
Thank you, Bill. Any questions from members of council? Are you good with that, Ms. Dickinson? Thank you, Bill. 2023-326, we have Ms. Deb Matz to address council.
Good afternoon. This is a request to modify Chapter 164A of the Codified Ordinances, which governs the Development Finance Authority. I've got Chris Burnham here and also Lori Salas, just in case there are questions that I can't answer. To be quite frank, when we put this thing together many, many moons ago, it was a very small organization. They did not have the capacity or the staff to do all of that kind of, finance-related work for themselves. They are now a basically fully functional organization. They have staff and capacity and would like to have the ability to manage their own finances. And in order for them to do that, we have to modify the ordinance because the ordinance currently requires that it be the Summit County Fiscal Officer acting as their fiscal agent. It is not, however, a requirement within the revised code that that happen. That was something that this council determined was necessary at the time that they established the ordinance. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And like I said, if I can't, I got Chris here with me.
Any questions from members of council?
Why is it first reading passage?
They would like to be able to start making arrangements with financial institutions in order to handle all of their different finances.
Chris, if you want to come up,
Just why,
we've
I
had
don't
conversation.
understand why it can't go through the regular process, Madam President.
Yes, sir, I had that conversation with Mr. Burnham this morning.
Good evening, everyone. You know, I do want to apologize a little bit because in 23 years I've never asked for a first reading passage. I did talk to Ms. Sims earlier today and had a quick conversation with Jeff. I probably should have called a few people, but you know, basically, John, we realized what the end of the year is really upon us, and I mentioned to Rachel that I think we have like 4 council meetings before the end of the year, and we just want to get all the bank accounts and have everything get up so it's a clean break going into the new year. Honestly, that's really the answer. You and Mr. Donofrio were the only ones I could think of that were around. I was actually, you know, when we started 23 years ago, I was it. I was the employee. And we're in line to have about 15 people in the not too distant future, and control 4 nonprofits, and we need to do wire transfers, and we move quickly, and never been a component unit of the county. We do our own audit. This is probably something we should have done a few years ago, to be honest with you. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Any other questions from members of council? Yes, sir. Anyone else want to go on as co-sponsor?
Thank you.
Thank you. You good, Ms. Sam? Finally, 2023-327, we have Mr. Phil Montgomery to address council.
Thank you, Madam President. Phil Montgomery from the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget. Just a few items on the appropriation legislation today. The first item is a grant to the DFA for a PACE Energy grant. This will be coming from the rebates we received from Energy Harbor and council previously passed. This is just for us to be able to cut a check over to the DFA. The next one is appropriation that went through Board of Control and council previously to add or separate the electrical service out at the new dispatch facility. The next one is the cleaning contract for the dispatch facility to appropriate funds for that. We're adding a little bit to the TCAP fund for year end, and then flipping over to the second side, we have a change order for the Press Road project for the engineer and appropriating available funds in ESAC for the sheriff. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Phil. Any questions from members of council? Hearing none, you good with that, Mr. Donofrio? Thank you. Again, we have no motions tonight. We have 13 first readings, 8 first reading passage requests. There are no late filings. Routine legislation can be found on page 4 through 7. There are no second or third readings. We'll now rise for the pledge led by Councilwoman Hyam, followed by a moment of silence. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt. Here. Ms. Hyam.
Here.
Mr. Donofrio. Here. Mr. DeVitas. Here. Ms. Dickinson. Here. Ms. Sims.
Here.
Mr. Wilhite.
Here.
Ms. Darrow.
Here.
Ms. Rogers.
Here.
Ms. McKinney.
Here.
Ms. Walters.
Here.
Can I have a motion for the approval of the meeting minutes from October 16th, 2023? I have a motion from Ms. I have a motion from Councilwoman Walters. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
First readings 2023-320, a resolution approving the 2023 wage reopener as agreed between Ohio Council 8 and Local 1229 Fiscal Office and Office of Information Technology Unit of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO, and the Executive Fiscal Officer and the Office of Information Technology for the third year of the parties' collective bargaining agreement 9/123 through 8/31/24 for the Executive Fiscal Office and the Office of Information Technology emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-320.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-320. On the suspension, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
2023-321, a resolution to cooperate with the Director of Transportation in a City of Barberton-sponsored project to improve Wooster Road West located in the City of Barberton in Council District 7 for the engineer emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-321.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-321. On the suspension, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
2023-322, a resolution authorizing the executive to advertise for separate bids for the exterior lighting project and paving construction project for the Summit County Children's Services Administration Building located in the City of Akron and Council District 4 for estimated total costs not to exceed $90,000 and $154,000 respectively for the Executive's Department of Administrative Services Physical Plants emergency.
I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-322.
We have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-322. On the suspension, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
2023-323, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a purchase contract with iCore Technology, Inc. for a bomb disposal robot for the Summit County Bomb Squad for an amount not to exceed $198,701.60 for the Executive Department of Public Safety, EMA, emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-320.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-323. On the suspension, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
2023-324, a resolution authorizing employee retention lump sum payments to eligible non-bargaining employees of the Sheriff's Office pursuant to a subgrant received from the Ohio Department of Public Safety Office of Criminal Justice Services to promote recruitment and retention of law enforcement employees in accordance with the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 for the purpose of assisting with employee retention for the executive and sheriff emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-324.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-324. On the suspension, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
2023-325, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a purchase contract with Montrose Ford at state term pricing for a 2023 Ford Expedition and a total amount not to exceed $50,371.50 for the sheriff emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-325.
We have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-325. On the suspension, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
2023-326, an ordinance amending Chapter 164A of the Codified Ordinances of the County of Summit entitled Development Finance Authority and declaring emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-326.
We have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-326. On the suspension, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
2023-327, a resolution appropriating funds in order to meet projected expenditures for the balance of 2023 is set forth in Exhibit A for the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-327.
Have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt 2023-327. On the suspension, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
2023-328, a resolution establishing legal holidays for non-bargaining county employees for calendar year 2024 for the Executive's Department of Human Resources emergency. 2023-329, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute a grant agreement with the Summit County Land Reutilization Corporation Land Bank for a grant in the amount of $103,500 to enable the land bank to retain Hasenstab Architects for design work of a 54,000 square foot build out of 1040 East Talmadge Avenue located in the city of Akron and Council District 2 for the Executive's Department of Administrative Services Physical Plants emergency. 2023-330, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Community Support Services for 2 part-time peer support specialists and 1 full-time case manager to refer and link Hope Mental Health Court participants to community resources and provide case management services from 10/1/23 through 9/30/24 in an amount not to exceed $119,406.49 for the Court of Common Pleas General Division Adult Probation Emergency. 2023-331, an amended resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of professional service contracts with various providers for state fiscal year 2024 utilizing temporary assistance to needy families, benefit bridge, and state general revenue funds from 10/1/23 through 9/30/24 in an amount not to exceed $5,385,000 for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services emergency. 2023-332, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Julian and Grube, Inc. for the preparation of the county's annual comprehensive financial report, ACFR, and schedule of expenditures, SEFA, for a 3-year period in the amount not to exceed $145,500 for the fiscal officer emergency.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and adopt the routine legislation found on pages 4 through 7.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and adopt routine legislation found on pages 4 through 7. On the suspension, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the adoption, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. There's nothing else to come before council. We are now adjourned.
Pass out the budget. Oh, you got it. Thank you.
We'll open up the budget hearing. 428. Prosecutors up first. Brad, Esme, please. Thanks for coming, Brad.
So these,
450, I'm sorry. I didn't have these on. I'm sorry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of council. I'm Brad Gessner, Chief Counsel for Prosecutor Sherry Bevan Walsh. Tonight, we're here to present our budget encompassing our civil division and delinquent tax, juvenile or child protection, which handles delinquency and or dependency and neglect, and our delinquency division, our criminal division, and our victim services division. You have our program descriptions and challenges that we've set out in each of those. We have met a target set for us by the Office of Budget and Finance, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Questions, counsel? Hey, Brad, could you tell me, on the delinquent tax, is that still the 5%, 2.5% to the prosecutor and 2.5% to the fiscal collection? I think so. I believe so.
I believe that hasn't changed. So that goes into that fund that funds the DRATEC program.
I'm just curious if there's still.
Yes.
There's actually 3 separate. There's one DRETAC that goes to the fiscal officer, there's one that goes to the prosecutor, and there's one that's a joint account.
Oh, I heard that one. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. Hearing no questions, thanks for coming.
Right.
So I do have one question. So go ahead, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I know I could add them all up. How many employees in the department, please?
Ballpark, if in the office, not counting the child support division, we have about 120.
So I was about to ask you the same thing. So we're doing all 3 pieces together?
The child support is
Oh,
coming up next. It's separate.
Oh,
Caitlin will
say
be
the
up here for
prosecutor
that.
on the top. I was trying to figure that one out. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Hey, Brad, can you tell me offhand, are we paying the prosecutors, assistant prosecutors enough that they stay in there and not move on to other offices?
We're getting closer. But this past year, just as you just approved the bonuses for the sheriff through that ARPA money, we had that same program for our prosecutors. So great thing was all but one of our prosecutors in the criminal division signed that agreement, and
all of those prosecutors who signed that agreement are still here. We have been stable, and I hate to say it, stable as long as we have since COVID hit, where that's where we saw a lot of movement. So we're closer. We're still a little bit under Portage County. We're a little bit more under Cuyahoga County, but we think that we're such great people to work with that yes. Yes, it is. Yes.
I knew the problem used to be, we didn't pay them enough to train them. They went somewhere else.
Right, but the executive's office and Office of Budget and Finance has been very helpful in the past couple of years, moving those salaries up and getting us closer to where we need to be, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
So did you,
Lower?
Excuse me?
Do you know how much lower the pay is?
For our felony division prosecutors, the starting salary is $4,000 lower.
so did we have similar resources for retention for your office too?
No, we didn't have similar resources. We had a similar grant.
Okay, okay.
So it wasn't any county money for those.
Thank you.
I'm just curious why the budget objective is so much higher for tax lien foreclosure.
Excuse me?
For tax lien foreclosure?
The budget amount?
Yeah. With respect to foreclosure?
Oh, the number of cases we estimate for next year? Okay, so what that is, as John can explain, with COVID, those came down some, and there's been a reevaluation of properties this year. Correct. So there's two different components to the tax foreclosure. There's filing of the foreclosures, and then, as Mr. Donofrio knows, when the properties are reevaluated the values, then there are cases that could end up in the Board of Tax Appeal. So those are both considered tax from the DRETAC budget. So when COVID hit, there was a moratorium on filing foreclosures. So then as that moratorium was lifted, then more and more cases are sent over, and then we're kind of, although COVID still exists, there aren't those moratoriums, so then the tax certificate holders have increased the amount that they send to us.
So I just want to make this clear. I realized we weren't giving money out of our out of general funds. So the amount of the grant that you got for the prosecutor's office was what? And who were the employees that were eligible for that? Just the prosecutors, or that's my question?
Yes. Again, it's that same thing through the state, the governor's office, that the sheriff's department received it from. It was only for our criminal prosecutors.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add for Mrs. Rogers' question about the employees, I will have an entire schedule coming to council of the employee counts. That's one of the things that's still in transition from the old book to the new book. So I'll get you I just know you're going to get a report from me that has all of that.
Oh, okay.
Good evening. My name is Caitlin Croft, and I am the CSEA Director of Administration for Finance and Human Resources. I have been with the Prosecutor's Office, or CSEA, since 2013. The CSEA 2024 budget proposal is $11.6 million. In the handout I provided, you can see our budget history for the last 10 years on page 1. The 2023 budget was $10.8 million. Our 2024 budget has a 7.38% increase over 2023 due to a few things. There's an 8% increase in salaries due to the COLA at 3.5%, and we are currently in negotiations with our union for which we anticipate an increase. Benefits increased 6.71% as a result of the higher cost of insurance. Internal services has increased due to the chargebacks that are coming from county OIT. Supplies have increased by 8.33%, or $5,000, due to the cost of everything going up. Travel and training has also increased by 25%, but only by $5,000 because we have only previously budgeted $20,000 for the last few years. We have several new employees since the pandemic who will need additional training as we have had recent turnover lately. CSEA's budget, as always, remains lean. 93% of our costs are for personnel, 40 provider contracts, and rent. Our budget reflects 120 full-time positions. On page 1 of the handout, you can see CSEA's staffing history for the last 15 years. We have 79 bargaining staff and 41 non-bargaining staff. The average caseload per case manager is 650 cases. Our caseload history is shown on page 2 of your handout. With nearly 40,000 cases, we collected $67 million approximately in federal fiscal year 23 for Summit County families. For the 2023 budget year, CSEA has 4 main sources of revenue generated by the Child Support Program to offset operating costs. We have the Federal Financial Participation, or FFP, and that amounts to about $6.1 million. We have federal incentive funding, which amounts to about $1 million. We have a state match allocation, which amounts to $1.1 million. And we have administrative 40 and non-40 fees, which amounts to about $1.5 million. That is a total of almost $10 million in revenue. Smaller funding sources such as medical collections, recoupment account collections, and the CSEA's administrative fund carryover provide the remaining revenue to offset operating costs. For budget year 2024, CSEA does not anticipate any further funding reductions from the state or federal government. We are requesting a county contribution of $1.2 million for CSEA's local share. We are required to match our 66% federal funding with our 34% local share. We make up the majority of this through state match earned, our fees, and Medicaid cost recovery. However, it has not been enough for the last few years. Keep in mind, a contribution of any kind allows CSEA to draw down additional federal funding at 66%. So for every dollar we receive, we can spend $3. So $1.2 million allows us to spend $3.8 million, approximately. CSEA has performance goals determined by state and federal regulations. These goals are shown in your handout on page 2, which is the last chart. Our statewide goal in each category is 80%. We have paternity establishment, and for federal fiscal year 23, we were at 98.85%. Summit County leads performance in paternity in all metro counties in the state of Ohio. We also have support order establishment. For federal fiscal year 23, we were at 92.09%. For current support collections for federal fiscal year 23, we were at 71.96%. This is an increase of 0.55% over the last year. We are the highest performing metro county in current support. No other metro county is over 70%. All are still in the 60s, and the closest is at 68%. We are also 1% higher than the statewide performance as a whole. Then finally, we have collections of past due support. For federal fiscal year, we were at 64.18%. Performance has decreased in this category by 1.97% and a statewide by about 1.5%. We have not fully recovered from pre-pandemic levels as a state in this category. In the Metro County Division, our CSEA leads performance in paternity and current support collections. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, Council, this is Caitlin Croft. I'm sorry to get you introduced.
That's okay.
Any questions, Council?
Just a 2. It might be Phil. Phil, what are the additional OIT chargebacks?
So
CSEA was they brought on an additional help desk person that's being funded through the OIT staff, so that gets charged back to CSEA. They were direct paying for some of it, but we've moved all of the OIT staff into the OIT budget and then do chargebacks. So that's reflective of that additional staff person.
Thank you. And on the overall performance,
Yeah.
So that's not per category, that's overall performance. You said your goal is 80%?
Yeah, so as a state, each county is supposed to or wants to reach 80% as a standard. So we are above that standard in paternity establishment, support order establishment. We are below in the current support and in the past due support. In the current support arena, we are below the 80%, but we're higher than everybody else. And then in the past due support, like I said, everybody in Ohio has really struggled since the pandemic to collect arrears payments.
Thank you. Because I didn't, we're not going to go from 96% to 80%. We're just going to go.
No.
Overall, this is not by category.
It is by category.
So yeah.
Every category's goal is 80%.
Yeah, so the percentage of children born, let's see, paternity established is 96.85. I'm on the second page of performance for federal fiscal year.
So, yes. So we were up from 2.5% from last year, and we're above the state performance, 1.74%.
So we're well over the 80% in that category.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm
Yep.
saying, that's why I was asking you, are we looking at all the categories combined to get to the 80%? Because,
No,
okay, well,
it's 80% individually. Each category the goal is 80%,
Each
and we're not reaching that in two categories.
in the latter two categories. Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Any other questions, council?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I can't see down there. We need a U-shape. Maybe Phil could work out a little thing on some construction or something. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is probate court. Judge Stormer, thank you for coming, Judge.
Take me a second to get there, but I'm coming. I'm grateful for the county insurance, I'll tell you. So it's my pleasure to be here with you all again this year. I'm Eleanor Marsh Stormer. I am your probate judge, and Michael Raddick is handing you something that I think is easier to read than what you might have in front of you. And he will be taking Lisa Carano's position when she retires next year. So you'll see more of Michael as the years go by. So we, like everybody else who's appeared before you, has probably been experiencing the need to increase our salaries to be competitive, in our case, with other governmental entities. We've had a turnover of approximately 11 people in the last 12 months, many of whom went to other county places where they were making substantially more money than we were able to pay them with the budget that we had. We did have a very helpful and productive meeting with Mr. Montgomery, and were able to increase our budget by $57,000 because we were very careful and are able to raise our salaries to match other county level employees. So our clerks now make what juvenile clerks make, our magistrates now make what magistrates make in juvenile court, which is why our numbers are going up a little bit more than the original proposed budget in order to accommodate those salaries. We will have 2 retirements in the next 2 years. One of them is Lisa Carano. You've met Michael. We will be replacing Michael next year so that we have some time to train his replacement before he takes over when Ms. Carano gratefully retires from her service to the county of over 30-something years. So we're happy for her and kind of mad at her at the same time, but have to understand that. So our salary, the number of people we have working for us has remained substantially the same, 33 this year. We are in the process of hiring a person right now to fill the final open position that we've had. We are happy to report that for the first time literally in years, we had more than 2 applicants. We actually had 31 people apply, 8 of whom are relatively qualified. So we're hoping we're going to find a great person to fill that position. You can see that our expenditures over the last couple of years, if you look at, I think it's page 4, we have been able to keep within our budget until this year when we did have to ask for just a little bit more in order to be able to accommodate maintaining and retaining our staff. So we've always been a little bit good. We've been trying to be good stakeholders for the people of Summit County. Our overall caseload has dropped a little bit, but in the areas that are most time-consuming, it has gone up, and those would be the guardianship cases. So we're seeing a lot more people who need guardianships. Our health system is wonderful. We're keeping people alive longer, and many of them don't have family who survive with them, and we need to reach out and find people we pay to do that. We work well with the Volunteer Guardian Program, which now has 4 full-time or part-time guardians that they are paid guardians to provide some of the services. For people who are seriously mentally ill and or violent, we turn to our lawyers. We pay them from our guardianship fund, which we collect separately from any general fund money, and that is becoming more of a problem. We're getting a lot of people who have drug addictions, or alcohol addictions, which have compromised literally the functioning of their brain. Their brains can actually shrink. And often they have broken all ties with their family during the course of their brain shrinkage, and so we have to go out kind of into the market to find guardians for them. So that is going up. Marriage licenses have dropped substantially. I think a lot of people rushed off to get married. I don't know what's going on in domestic, but I'm sure you'll hear from them when their budget comes up. Everything else is pretty much the same. Fortunately, I'm happy to report eminent domains seem to be dropping. Green has kept us very busy, as has ODOT. All that construction you see is, you may not realize, comes through probate court, and that provides a lot of the civil cases. The majority of the other cases are family members fighting with each other, usually because they think someone has stolen money or convinced mom or dad to give them something that the other siblings don't think they're entitled to. On the page after that, you'll see that our general revenue fund, which we turn back to you, has gone up substantially. I don't know if you've read anything in the paper about the asbestosis cases that are finally being settled. That large increase is not going to be sustainable. It has to do with the thousands of cases that were filed where finally families are getting compensated for the loss of their loved one due to asbestos. The cases were lingering for a long time because it turns out the lawyers who were representing the people who were producing the asbestos were lying. They were caught lying, and it took a number of years to collect against them in the tune of millions and millions of dollars. The law firms and the entities were forced to pay punitive damages, so people are actually getting, in many cases, what I would call real money for the loss of someone, as opposed to several $1,000s. They're getting substantially more than that. We have continued to do community outreach, which we did while in COVID. We did a lot of it on Zoom. We did a lot of court hearings on Zoom. We are now back more and more to in-person presentations, but also in-person court hearings, which we think it's better for people to be able to come, have their day in court, say what they want to say, and we're happy that COVID is finally allowing us to do this. But we do have still the opportunity for Zoom for lawyers if it's just a short hearing rather than having them drive down here and park in that lovely parking deck. So the only other thing I would bring to your attention is we continue with New Day Court. There's still going to be a movie some point in time about the system, which is not just New Day Court, but it really will, I hope, showcase how well Summit County does versus many of the other places you hear about. The recent shooting that took place, the man apparently they'd called authorities because of a mental illness. He was hearing voices. He might be described as paranoid schizophrenic. We have no idea what was in his mind when he did this in Maine, but we are hoping that we continue Summit County's good work with having our CIT officers work well with our mental health system in order to hopefully stave off anything of that nature happening here. But it does continue to be a problem. We are seeing a lot of people in our New Day Court. You also have a lot of people in your jail with a diagnosable mental illness who are charged with felonies, and we can't see them because they're in the criminal system, not in the civil system. So that's our story. We hope you approve our slightly increased budget. Thanks again to Mr. Montgomery for assisting us this year. I'm happy to answer any questions.
On the caseload, Honorable, on one it says, when I look at the comparison, which one for 2022, I was comparing it to 2023, is it the 7,800 or is it the 7,463? And is that because...
You're looking at the bottom number?
So I'm looking at the sheet on the pretty paper.
Yeah, okay. Well, at least you can read the pretty, I couldn't read that other thing that's in your bind.
Before that page is
the overall yeah.
Caseload. So it says 7,803. And on this one, it says 7,463. I'm just assuming it's the 7803.
It should be 7803, and I wish I could explain the discrepancy, but I can't. We do a lot of miscellaneous cases that get, so if we appoint a judge to sit as a probate judge for purposes of performing a wedding, or we deputize people, like people who work at PEZ are deputized, so they show up as miscellaneous hearings, and I'm assuming that extra grouping is for miscellaneous hearings. We've appointed a lot of judges, for example, probably several hundred over the last year.
That would explain why there may be a...
I think that's a discrepancy,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Am I missing anything there, Michael?
So I was trying to see...
There's a difference
we're talking
between
about the case load
7803
increase,
and 7463. I think that's what it is. It's the
okay,
miscellaneous
'cause I see it
cases.
I see it also in 2021. I was
Yeah,
just trying to think-
exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Mr. Schmidt, did you have some snarky remark for me, darling?
I just want to say what a wonderful job you're doing. Thank you for coming.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm glad it was easy peasy this time. No? Okay. Thanks so much.
And I informed Rita that you started out as Tim Davis's general
Yes, I
counsel.
just sit right over there.
That's
In
right.
a not less, it was not quite this nice, but it was sort of over there.
So
Yes.
just really quickly, Judge, so when we talk about the more in-depth, the caseload for
Guardianships?
guardianship.
Yeah.
So what is the difference, and how many staff do you have specifically assigned to, or do they get a variety of caseloads?
We have 3 court investigators who will actually literally investigate every single guardianship and then follow those guardianships. We have 3 full-time people. We have just today assigned a person to be a support staff to them to take some of the clerical work off of their plate, because what's happening, the world seems to be arguing a lot more, and families are arguing a lot more, and so we're getting many more complaints about guardians than we used to, or the guardianships themselves are more complicated because they just have more issues. You know, it's not just that they have a dementia diagnosis, but they're in a house where they've been hoarding, and we have to deal with the house and what to do with, you know, a placement. And frankly, our nursing homes are very full. Mr. Wilhite can attest to that. And what they did during COVID with the nursing homes is a lot of them started to take people from other counties. So all of those cases also got transferred to us, and that is our statutory obligation to take those. We are now, unfortunately, in the position of having to place people out of county, which we don't like to do, because if their family is here, it's better, even if they don't want to be a guardian. So as people age, we've learned a lot of the family members are saying, I don't want a relationship with my mom or my dad where I'm their guardian. I want to just be their child. And I just want to love them and not make medical decisions. So we're starting to see some of that as well. So it's just getting more complicated, and it's getting harder to find guardians. So any of you who have a heart for helping the elderly, we'd love to have you be a volunteer guardian. No? No take? Sure.
Is there any opportunities for your staff to rotate job descriptions? So in other words, if someone's focused on one thing primarily their entire time, do you ever move folks around to give them a different perspective on things?
We do. We do that in our clerk's office. So we try to get people cross-trained so that they don't have to just do open guardianships for the rest of their life. So we try to train people so they can move into different positions and come back. We're trying to have people who also, you know, when COVID came, we went to a half staff. We had to have people in there. You could not do what we do remotely. So we had to have people trained to do multiple jobs because only 50% of them were there on any given day. So yes, we do try to do that. Unfortunately, with the court investigators, it's very specialized. They all have advanced degrees. They are social workers who have to have a special skill set that I wouldn't think a clerk would necessarily be able to step into those shoes. It's a professional role.
Yeah, I see a lot, you know, of some of the challenges around guardianship, because I sit on adult guardian services board, and seeing how that's kind of changed a lot. So that's why I was kind of wondering how much more complicated that has come, that it takes, you know, a lot of time away from, I shouldn't say take more time away, but a lot more time.
Each guardianship can take more time. the beauty of, I still call it volunteer guardian, but it's adult guardianship services. You have the ability in that entity to self-select. We do not have that ability. So we have to take anyone that isn't appropriate for you, comes to us to find a guardian for. Nursing homes have gotten comfortable sending people directly to you, which we appreciate, but we still have to send out a court investigator on each one of those cases. We have to make sure that all the next of kin are notified. I mean, there's a lot around the filing of any given guardianship, and just the sheer number is going up. And unfortunately, many of them are younger. I mean, we're getting people in their 40s and 50s now who will need a guardian for potentially 30 years. So you have to pick carefully who you want to do that. So it's just, you know, I mean, we can still handle it, I'm happy to say. We don't need another position there. But I'm glad we're able to provide them with support staff, which we were able to do today because we're bringing in a new person. So we may eventually come back for another slot, but not this year. Next year, I may be pleading. This year, I'm just saying thank you. Thank you all very much.
Law Library Resources Board, teeny tiny budget, only 2 people. The law library itself is shrinking in size because we are voluntarily giving space to the court. They need additional space. Kind of hard to find in a building that's over 100 years old. The 2 employees, you'll see that the annual budget for them is $97,000. The next 2 biggest line items are contract services and then supplies. That includes, so contract services includes our Westlaw contract. The law library's Westlaw contract is utilized by patrons of the law library. And frankly, that's become far more popular than the books. The book budget has decreased. It's now $14,000 for both Westlaw and Lexis. It used to be $18,000, and I think it might have even been over $20,000 each at one point. But you know, we've only got certain books that we're updating at this point because people rely much more heavily on Westlaw. And other than that, those are the highlights, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So your teeny tiny budget, teeny tiny budget, why is it that when the salaries go down, the benefits are still going up?
Because the cost of benefits is increasing. Because the salaries, the cost of benefits doesn't relate to the salaries. It's the cost of benefits, because they're in the county's plan.
Oh, okay.
If I could add, just in this particular example, they had a longtime employee retire, so the replacement was lower. And then the cost of health insurance was 10% this year on the employer side. So it's just a little anomaly in this year for them, going from 23 to 24.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you, Mr.
Certainly. Thanks, y'all.